Guys, welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves. For those of you just listening on audio, your girl did break out her glasses for this episode because you guys know I love a costume, you know I love a bit, you know I love a visual example, some context, and we're going to be talking about math today. Just kidding. Not really. Kind of. We're going to be, just stay tuned. You'll see what I mean. But thus, your girl is also blind as a bat. So I will be wearing my glasses today, but that's okay. So today's topic is going to be the PEMDAS of investing in business. Now, for those of you that are like, sorry, what the fuck are you talking about? If you went to high school, which, like, show of hands, I am really hoping most of you guys graduated high school and or the high school equivalent. Shout out, my sister took the GED. We love it. We love to see it. If you remember, in high school math classes, there was a thing called PEMDAS, which was the order of operations with which you needed to solve an equation in order to do it properly. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of you guys love to throw money at problems, but a lot of you guys are throwing money at problems in the wrong order, and it is causing you to not see an ROI from your investments. And I did an Ask Me Anything. God, what was it? A week ago, 2 weeks ago? All of the weeks are blending together right now. I haven't been home except for like 2 weekends in the last 2 months. So I'm like, where am I? What time zone is it? What time of day is it? Is it night? Is it dark? I don't understand. I'm losing all of my senses. So we're just here. Anyways, so I literally lost my train of thought. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay, so a lot of you guys, I'm sorry, you guys, my ADHD is screaming today, so I apologize. So, a lot of you guys are making some investments in the wrong order. And like I said, it's causing you to not have an ROI on those investments and actually potentially lose money. So I want to talk about, for marketing and sales specifically, the order of investments that you should be making in your business. Now, this isn't just like, oh, ads, PR, things like that. No, I also want to talk about hires. So I want to talk about team members, social media managers, closers, things like that. So I want to talk about basically, because for a lot of my target audience, you guys are making 30, 40, 50K months, right? And instead of fixing your marketing problem, where, you know, you're not getting leads, you're not getting sales, you're investing in paid ads. Or instead of fixing your sales problem, you're hiring a closer. Or instead of figuring out how to write captions faster and easier, you're hiring a social media manager, right? And what I have realized is that for a lot of you guys, the results are the same. You don't make your money back. You're frustrated. You're confused. You start questioning if you're like even good at this, right? The biggest thing that I've been hearing in my sales conversations I've been having with you guys is pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie. You constantly are telling me you've made investments that you've been burned by and didn't see any results. And the most common factors that I have seen is because either you didn't ask the right questions, or you made the wrong investment at the wrong time, and you're like, well, I didn't see any ROI. And I'm like, yeah, because you did it at the wrong time. Like, of course, right? It's basically like you being like, oh my God, I'm going to get married after going on 3 dates. And then you're like, oh my God, like we're getting divorced. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, like I kind of expected that. I saw that coming. And so did the rest of the world, Kim Kardashian. I don't know what to tell you, right? So with that being said, because we're business owners and we want to do things sustainably and we want to do it in a smart way, we want to make sure that we are making that investment at the right time in business. So I want to kind of talk about what that looks like. But first, I want to talk about what the wrong sequence is and like the consequences that can really happen. Because for most of you guys, you're probably sitting there being like, Savannah, that's hilarious. Like, it's going to be fine. You're overreacting, drama queen yet again. I mean, like, listen, I love a good drama. Like I said, I love a good bit, but also at the same time, I'm not being dramatic. I have literally had thousands of sales conversations with people in the last 5 years. I don't even know how many I've had. I probably couldn't even count. I know right now, we started our lead tracker probably back in like 2 years ago on ClickUp. Right now we've got almost 3,000 leads in there. So I'm like, that's 2 years. So it's probably a lot. It's a fuck ton. Okay. So, and I hear it over and over and over again. So it is a problem. If it's a pattern, it's a problem. Thank you so much. Like I said, the order matters because when you skip steps, you don't just waste money, you lose momentum, and you train your audience to expect chaos, and you create systems you can't maintain. And I also speak from personal experience. I'll share with you guys kind of like a story of how this actually happened to me in the very early stages of owning my business and why I don't want it to happen to you. But more importantly, you stop trusting yourself ultimately. So this episode is really, it's literally 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the intro, and I'm just now telling you who this is for. I'm so sorry. If you have literally made it this far, I'm shocked. I'm proud of you. I'm so excited we're here. Let me hold your hand while I'm saying this. This episode is really for the founder who's sick of spending money that doesn't multiply. Like, you know you're talented, but you keep plateauing. You want to scale, but you don't want to lose your edge or your profit because of it. So, like I said, I'm going to break down the order of when to invest, the mistakes that cost people tens of thousands of dollars, and how to know when you're actually ready to outsource or scale. Because if you cannot turn your marketing into cash on your own, no team, no tactic, no ad, no PR plan is going to save you. So, with that very long rambling intro, let's fucking get into it, shall we? We're smart cookies because we're wearing glasses today. So, like, obviously, let's talk about it. Okay, so like I said, biggest mistake, you're making 40K a month from your personal brand and you're dropping 10K on ads because you think that that's going to save you, right? You finally have a few offers converting and you hire a setter to scale your leads. You've been posting a few carousels that hit and suddenly you're onboarding a social media manager to quote unquote take content off of your plate. But let's be clear, those moves aren't wrong. They're just wrong right now. Because like I said, you don't get leverage when you do that. You get leaks because you don't know what works. Therefore, you can't keep up with what's not working with a team or ads or any of those things. Like, you're just one person. You're just a girl, okay? For product-based businesses, a lot of times this looks like you've got a best-selling product that sells out every other month, right? But instead of tightening your sales systems or building urgency into your email marketing, you spend 5K on influencer marketing or ads before you even know your best selling funnel. Like, why are we paying other people to sell for you when we don't actually know what sells? Why are we paying for ads to get more attention onto a product if we don't even know that that's your best selling one? Like, make it make sense. Now your inventory is bloated, your conversions have dropped, and you're left wondering what went wrong, right? For service-based businesses, a lot of times this can look like you getting some clients from referrals and Instagram DMs, but instead of figuring out what messaging converted or how to package it better, you hire a setter that has no idea how to speak your brand voice or qualify your leads. So when you do get leads, they ghost. You blame the setter when really you skipped the part where you learned how to sell first, right? How do you expect someone on your team to sell for you in the right way if you don't even know what that right way is? You don't even know what lands for your audience. So if you haven't learned how to sell your own offer, you've built an organic system that produces leads, or created a sales process that converts cold traffic into actual money in your pocket, you don't have any business outsourcing anything yet. And it's not because you're not talented. It's not because you don't know what you're doing. It's because scaling the wrong foundation just breaks it faster, you guys. Honestly, this is like so weird. You know the TikTok sound where it's like, honestly, if I had a nickel every single time that it happened, I'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? So my parents growing up, they bought a couple of homes in sequence, right? And beautiful homes, gorgeous, right? Like, my dad was finally super successful in his business, all this different stuff. They're like buying their first family home, blah, 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 right? They didn't know a lot about buying a home or inspections or like any of those things, right? First house we get ends up having foundational issues, right? So it's like, okay, so your choices are either sink more money into this house or sell and move, right? But if we tried to build on top of that house that had those foundational issues, eventually the home would crack and completely fall apart, and it would be so like unsafe and stuff like that, right? Same thing next time we move. It was insane. You'd think that we would learn our lesson. No. Basically what we think happened is like the previous owners lied about a bunch of stuff. Doesn't matter. Neither here nor there, even though the lore runs deep. And I know that we could probably be here just talking about Savannah's lore for forever. That's not the purpose of the podcast. Maybe one day we'll add in like a monthly, like just tea spilling episode. I don't know. But Long story short, second house, same thing, has foundational issues. We pack up, move to another home, and that one's great, right? But it happened twice in a row. Imagine if we had tried to basically build on top of those homes. Like at one point, my parents had talked about building like a mother-in-law suite or whatever for my grandma. And imagine if they like actually did that and there were foundational issues, it would crack completely. Like the house would fall apart, right? Same goes for your business. If you are sitting here trying to build on a home or build on a strategy that is broken in the first place or isn't solid, like is not concrete, solidified, it's going to break faster and it's going to break with more difficult consequences to recover from. So now that we've kind of talked about the things that you're doing wrong or the order that you're investing wrong, right? Ads, PR, hiring a setter, hiring a social media manager, hiring a closer to try to fix your marketing and your sales problems. Let's talk about the right order of things, okay? So you can trademark this, TM, signed Savannah Jordan. This is the PEMDAS of marketing and sales investing, according to Savannah Jordan. Thank you so much. I'll be collecting my flowers now. Okay. And also, shout out to, I could not figure out how for the fuck of me to fit this into this acronym. And I literally used ChatGPT and I was like, this is my concept. These are all the different stages. How the hell do I figure out like what words fit into each stage? And it was like, girl, I got you. So shout out ChatGPT for helping me figure out the right words for each stage that like represented all of the things that I wanted it to represent. Live, laugh, love, ChatGPT. Okay, so P is for positioning. So you have to know how to position your offer to sell. You have to know what makes it different. You have to know how to nail your messaging before you outsource it, right? For me, I literally spend 1 hour a day creating content for all of our marketing platforms: Instagram, TikTok, email, podcast, everything. 1 hour a day. Okay. And I know weeks in advance, but also day of, like, let's say, for example, because I've talked about how marketing needs to be both proactive and reactive, right? So the proactive part is like, I know based on my marketing and my sales data, what I need to say to get my audience to buy. I know based on sales conversations, themes that I'm hearing coming up, what I need to talk about also day of, like if I need to switch things around based on what people are saying, what I'm seeing in my marketing, my sales, all that good stuff, right? So that's super easy, okay? And so for me in the past, like you guys have heard me with kind of like this relaunch basically of the podcast and of my business basically. I had an entire like massive team who worked with me. And I had someone for probably 2 years who wrote my content, who did all of my marketing for me. I had someone who did my marketing strategy. I had everything. And guess what? We doubled our sales year over year. So like not only did we maintain those results, but on top of that, we scaled, we grew, even though I wasn't the one writing my content, because guess what? I knew how to position my services. I knew how to position my messaging. I knew how to do all of those things so that when I brought on that team member, I said, hey, here's exactly how I do this. Here's my framework for writing captions. Here's examples of what my brand voice looks like. Here's the exact content that drove sales for us. And here's why. Here is literally everything. And so she was able to take that and replicate it so that we not only saw the same results, but better. And it didn't require my time or effort or energy. Guess what? If I didn't know how to do that positioning, if that was not concrete, oh my God, we would have been up shit creek without a paddle, right? Like I can't even imagine. The second she put out that content, my audience would have been like, who the fuck is this? Because that's not Savannah, right? You guys would know if it was not me writing my content, but because I had all of that dialed in, no one knew. I mean, I'm assuming that people probably were like, Savannah's probably not writing her content at this point, but it still sounded like me. And that would not have happened had my positioning not been dialed in. Okay, E within PEMDAS is for execution. Sell it yourself, create your own content, run your own DMs, take your own calls, master it before you delegate it. Okay, same concept basically. You have to be able to delegate what you know. You cannot outsource what you do not know. I always say clarity has to come before delegation. okay? You can't outsource clarity. That truly is, honestly, if there is like one mistake I see people making with hiring, and I actually think that this goes for every department of your business. This doesn't just go for marketing and sales. I think that this goes for every single part of your business. If you have not done the thing and done it well, how can you set appropriate expectations or set your team up for success if you don't actually know what to do? Because then, like, let's say, for example, I hire a social media manager, she starts writing my content for me, and we're not seeing good results from it. If I didn't know what that looked like to do it in the proper way, I would just sit there and be like, why the heck is our content not converting? And they're like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like a marketing strategist. I don't really know. I'm just writing the content that you told me to write. And I'm like, well, do it better. Okay, how? I don't know, but just do it better, right? It's like you're setting them up for failure if you don't know how to do that properly. Same thing goes for sales conversations, right? You need to do calls, you need to do DMs, you need to do all elements of sales so that you can tell people how to do it properly. I'll give you a great example. I had a closer one time, and I think that they did an okay job, but there were very specific things that they didn't do that I was like, hey, this is a part of our process and for good reason, because it contributes to the sales that we make. And so when I gave them like that feedback, it didn't get implemented. And so we had to part ways because I basically was like, look, like you're not implementing a part of the process and it's very much showing when it comes to your conversion rate, and we just can't have that. And if you followed the process, you would get the result. But guess how I was able to say that? I created the process because I learned what works for my audience. If I didn't know what worked for my audience, I would not be able to say, hey, please do XYZ differently so you can get the best result. We just would have had a shitty conversion rate, and I would have been like, what the hell is going on? And they would have been like, I don't know. And then I just would have been upset, but with nothing to do with that upset. Okay, so then M stands for marketing strategy, in parentheses, organic first, okay? Make your organic marketing work before you even fucking touch paid marketing, okay? Test your messaging, learn what lands. You have to be able to turn cold followers who literally stumbled across your video or a piece of content of yours one magical day. You need to take them, turn them into your most raving fans. I call them brand piranhas. And then you need to turn that obsession into effortless sales with your marketing and your sales. Organic, okay? Before you are doing that, you have no business investing in paid ads or PR or influencer marketing or any of those things, because you will be throwing your money down the drain, you guys. Like, I don't know how many more ways I can say this to you other than you're probably just gonna have to learn on your own. But if you, let's just put it this way, right? So paid ads is literally just paying to go viral, okay? It does not matter if you go viral if you don't know how to turn that virality into a sale. Let's say you have the most kick-ass paid ad ever, point blank, right? It goes to your page, you have like 1 million new eyes onto your page in 1 week or something outrageous like that, right? Unless you know how to warm up those cold followers, because when they come from an ad, they will be very cold. They will literally have just seen that ad and know nothing else about your brand. So if you don't know how to get them to know, like, trust, and be obsessed with your brand through your content, and then from there, get them to see that they have a problem or a goal they can't solve on their own, see your service or your product as the solution they can't live another day without, pre-handle their objections, build trust with social proof, etc., etc., etc. You just paid a shit ton of money and wasted 1 million eyes because you did not know what converted them. And then the same goes for sales, right? Because I get the argument sometimes of like, well, Savannah, I'm going to warm them up with my sales conversation when they come from an ad. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. Okay. Let's say you basically have 1 million of those people. Well, 1 million of those people is a lot, right? 1 million people go to the creative on your ad, and then from there go to the call booking link that's attached to the ad, right? Let's say you have a great conversion rate for an ad with call booking. Let's say it's like 10%, right? So that means that you have 100,000 people who have booked a call. That's like insane. Let's make the number smaller. Let's say it's not a million eyes, whatever. Let's say you end up having 100 people in 1 week book a call, right? And you have a closer on your team. You don't actually know the process that closes them. You don't know how to warm them up because you haven't done it on your own. You don't know an organic sales funnel that will actually get them from, I have no fucking clue what you do or what you sell, to, I need this literally today. Please take my money. Where do I check out? If you don't have an organic sales process for that is tried and true, and you just hired on a closer, guess what? You just wasted those 100 leads, because they're probably going to ghost you. They're going to recognize that you don't know what you're talking about. They're not going to feel confident in your sales process, and they're going to say, bye-bye. So you have to master your organic first before you even touch ads. PR is the exact same thing. It's literally just visibility. And then on top of that, influencer marketing is the same thing. There's a little more trust built with influencer marketing just because people trust the person that they're selling, or that they're buying from, who's like recommending this product or this service. However, again, same thing. Guess what? They're not just going to go straight to purchase that product. The number one thing people do after they see an ad, whether it's from an influencer or an actual like Google ad, TikTok ad, whatever, the number one thing they're going to do, they're going to go check you out on socials. And if that doesn't check out, if they don't have enough trust, you're done. Like, for example, okay, let's see, what did I just get an ad for recently that I like went and purchased, that an influencer was talking about? Oh, I will tell you guys this. Okay, my girlfriend and I went on a trip to Santa Barbara, and we were talking about African net sponges, because I've been seeing this all over the place, because for some reason right now I'm on shower TikTok, right? Where, I mean, like, that honestly just like checks out. I'm going to be totally frank with you. However, I did not want to buy some random ass sponge that was sold from people who just like gypped other people and sold it on Amazon, right? Like, I wanted it ethically sourced from Africa, right? Like, I also wanted to contribute to those small businesses, right? So I saw, because we were talking about it, of course, the TikTok algorithm fed me an ad for that. And there was an influencer who was talking about African net sponges, and it was linked to a TikTok shop item or whatever. So I went to that item and I was like, I do not know where this is from. I don't know the business that sells this. So what did I do? I went to their Instagram. Then I went to their Amazon page and I was like reading their bio. Then I went to their website and I was just like checking them out, making sure it checked all the boxes for people who I wanted to buy from, businesses I wanted to support, who genuinely, like I said, sourced it from Africa. They were Black businesses. Like, I want to support those small businesses. And also, it was female founded, which was kick-ass, super cool. Anyways, saw an ad for that, went immediately to their social media and then to their website to like check it out, make sure that it was correct, and then I ordered it. No one is going from your ad or from an influencer immediately and purchasing. So you have to make sure your organic marketing builds trust and already sells them on that item or that service. Okay, D is for data analysis. This is, you guys have heard me talk about this 1,000,001 times, right? Track your content, watch what converts, know how your people move, and know how your people buy. Do not guess, assess. I hear people tell me all the time, I'm like, cool, what's going on with your audience? What's going on with your marketing? What's going on with your sales? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, I think I don't really have people in my audience that are my target audience. So I think that that's my problem. Or I think that people have a pricing objection, or I think that blah, blah, blah. You think or you know. Those are two very different things, and your marketing strategy and your sales strategy should only be rooted in what you know based on your marketing and your sales data. Otherwise, we're playing the guessing game, and the guessing game is what got you to where you are now. So you need to be sure. Come correct or don't come at all. I don't know what to tell you, right? That's why it's also super important to know how to audit and analyze your own data, because when you make a hire, like a closer or a marketing strategist or a social media manager, and you outsource those things during the first 90 days while you're in training and probationary periods and all of that good stuff, you have to know to a T exactly what data you're looking at and monitor that closely to make sure that you're still seeing the results that you need to be seeing. and then make adjustments, give feedback, give training, things like that to set your team member up for success, but to still maintain your pattern of growth. And if you don't know what data to assess or how to analyze it for your marketing and your sales, how do you know if you're doing okay or not? You don't until sales are in the shitter, until you haven't made a sale, you haven't had leads coming in within like 2 weeks and you're like, oh fuck, something needs to change. No, you need to catch that earlier. Okay. A is for ads only when organic is working. We've kind of already covered this, so we don't really need to talk about it as much, but paid is for scaling, not for testing. Remember that. Not for saving your launch, and definitely not if you don't know your conversion rate. Okay? S is for scale with setters, closers, and team. We've kind of already talked about this, but just as a reminder, bring in team members to help multiply your proven process, not build one for you. Okay? This is where I see so many people get into hot water with in-house hires, consultants, with contractors that they bring on, is that they think that these people are going to be the sun, the moon, and the stars to their business, literally the savior of the world. But unfortunately, that is not the case. They're just girls. They're just a girl. I even ran, like you guys know, I ran a marketing agency for years, and we still do some done for you work, but just for very special projects. And I would literally tell people, I will not work with you unless you know your brand voice, unless you know the strategy that works for you. It's already a sales machine organically, and you know what your audience needs to hear in order to buy. We can take that and I can work with that and I can 3x your sales, but you have to have that built, or done for you will not work to the best of its abilities for you. And so if people didn't have that, I would literally tell them we need to do consulting first. And if we build all of that in 3 months, great, we can move to done for you. But you have to know that first. And the other thing too, is that you still want to maintain autonomy in your business. That's the thing, is like people are making these outsources like they don't care to know what's happening in their business. You guys don't understand. If you're working with a social media manager, and let's say best case scenario, they are the most incredible social media manager and they create kick-ass results for you. Like, it makes me think about, you guys know Heather from Selling Sunsets. She had a social media manager. I think her name was Jules. I can't remember properly, but she was this really cute blonde girl on TikTok. She went viral for being her social media manager, and she created incredible results for Heather on the marketing side of things. If they part ways, I don't know if they have or not, but like, I'm assuming Heather does not know what Jules was doing and implementing as far as strategy goes. And so therefore, if Jules leaves, she's like, well, fuck, what do I do with my marketing? Right? Same thing goes for business owners. If your social media manager leaves or hikes their prices because they're in demand too much and you don't want to pay that much money, you're back to square one. You have to understand why things work the way that they do first, and then outsource so you maintain control and autonomy of your results, no matter who comes and goes from your team, no matter if you run ads, if you don't, if something, if Instagram shuts down for the day, it doesn't matter. You need to know your strategy for marketing and sales. Here's what happens when you skip these steps. When you jump ahead in PEMDAS, if you will, or the order of operations, you don't just lose money, you wreck your momentum and your confidence. You invest $7K with a social media manager, but your content still isn't converting. Why? Because you literally never figured out what actually works for your audience. Now, you're not only editing posts every week from that social media manager, you're questioning their work, you're not seeing any sales, and on top of that, you're fucking paying for it. You hire a setter to close in the DMs and book you calls, but your leads are ghosting, or they're pitching totally off brand, but you can't tell them why because you haven't built a clear sales framework. Now you've burned all of your hot leads and your DMs are like a disaster zone. And then you have to either be like, okay, cool, well, I guess I don't have those leads anymore. Or you have to go back, tail between your legs, and be like, hi, me again. That was my team member. So sorry, they're no longer with me. Do you still want to have a conversation? And trust me, I've been there. It's not fun, but you know what? You live and you learn. And I'm trying to save you from having to learn or having to learn. A product-based example of this is you pour 10K into paid ads because a competitor is doing it, and you end up with a ton of cold traffic that doesn't convert. That happened to one of my clients. She literally invested the equivalent of a down payment on a home into paid ads, and when she came to me, she literally was like, I couldn't trace a single sale back to that. Flash forward 6 months of organic marketing while working with me, and she was making 120K in a month, and she started at 15K. Your back end isn't ready, your emails aren't optimized, your site bounce rate is sky high, your abandoned cart rate is sky high, and you didn't skip ahead to scale. You skipped into freaking chaos. I'll give you a personal example of this. I obviously alluded to like the closer that situation happened, but this happened actually even earlier in my business, and I just didn't learn my fucking lesson. Story of my life. So when I was in the first 6 months of my business, you guys know, like I grew very quickly, okay? I signed 10 clients the first month of me being in business, and it really took off from there, which is why I quit my corporate job. So by month 6, I did what everyone around me was doing and what was like the trend or the fad in content at the time, which was to hire a virtual assistant. I gave her admin tasks, I gave her systems setup tasks, and mistake number 1, I gave her my marketing. And guess what happened? My lead flow dried up pretty much completely. Clients stopped coming in, my content got quieter, and honestly, like it wasn't because she wasn't good at her job. I actually think that she was fantastic, and I will say that to this day. It's that 2 things. Number 1, I didn't know what I actually needed help with, right? I made the hire because I was feeling the tension of my capacity being capped, wanting to scale from there, and I was like, I just fucking need some help. Like, someone help me, I'm drowning, basically. Like, help me, I'm poor, okay? I just needed some help, so I brought her in, and I wasn't thoughtful and intentional about what hire I was making, but I also gave her my marketing because it was super time consuming. But the problem is that that's what was bringing my leads in, but I didn't know like really why they were coming in. I just knew it was working. And so I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm sure she can do it. No strategy to give her. And so she basically was just like, hey, here's some content I created. And I was like, okay, cool. This sounds good. Post it. Nope. Dried up completely. People didn't like it. And again, wasn't because she wasn't great at her job. The content she created was great. It's because I didn't give her a strategy to operate off of that I knew got my audience to buy. So I was literally sitting there paying thousands every month for time back, but not results. Here's the problem is that when you skip this step, you dilute your brand voice, you confuse your team, you shake your audience's trust, and you stop trusting yourself. And you end up back at square one, only now you're about 10 to 30K deeper into your debt hole. So let's talk about how to know when you're actually ready to scale. We've alluded to this a little bit, but I want to go a little more in depth. So I want to talk about what it actually looks like to be ready to invest, to hire, to scale, to pour gas on the fire. Now, as a reminder, this is not about perfection. I had a team well before my marketing and my sales was perfection. It still isn't perfection. It's damn good, but it still isn't perfection. There will always be room to grow. But it is about patterns. It's about repeatability, consistency. If you've done it once, okay, great. But if you've done it 10 times and you know why it worked, that is a system. And that is something you can either pour gas onto or hire out for, right? So here's how you know when you're ready to scale. Your offers sell cold, not just from referrals or warm leads, but like someone finds your TikTok on their For You page. They binge your content, they go to your Instagram, they inquire, and they end up investing with not a lot of objections or concerns. Same thing with product-based businesses. They go to your website and they purchase with not a lot of questions or concerns, okay? When that's happening consistently over and over and over again, you're doing great. Number 2, your content creates consistent inbound leads or consistent website traffic that is super, super high. You've closed sales calls from strangers or sales conversations, and you've had launches that weren't purely emotional flukes. You knew what worked and why. If you basically at the end of a launch had to be like, fuck, I haven't hit my goal, I need to like literally be unavoidable and show up constantly all day, every day, that's not what I'm talking about. You pre-planned your launch. It went off without a hitch. You maybe hit your sales goal in like the pre-sell or something like that. And if you've done that multiple times throughout the year, that's how you know you're okay to hire out for that. And you can verbalize what your strategy is, why it works, and you can teach someone else that strategy, give them feedback about how they're doing it right or wrong, and how they can expect similar results. So for product-based businesses, here's what this could look like, right? You had 3 or more launches where your top selling products hit their sales goals, and you know which campaigns drove the traffic and why. Your abandoned cart emails are converting, you've tested upsells and bundles, and your marketing has patterns, not panic. If you're a service-based business, here's what that could look like. You can clearly articulate your buyer journey. Your Instagram content leads to discovery calls. You have call to close data, and you know your close rate. You've built a warm-up sequence, you've refined your objection handling process, you've signed more than 5 clients at your current rate without pushing discounts. You're not just making money, you are making decisions. You know what makes your business grow, and that clarity, that's what lets you hire with confidence, invest in ads strategically, delegate without chaos, and scale with actual ROI. That to me is where you shift from being the talent, being the face of the brand, being the thing that creates sales, to being the CEO, is when you can duplicate you. But you have to know the right processes first before you can duplicate it, because CEOs do not guess, they assess, they decide, and they act. So here's what you should be doing instead. If you're like, cool, Savannah, this all sounds great, but I'm still plateaued at 40, 50K months and I want to scale, what the fuck do I do now? This all sounds wonderful. Give me some actual tools. That's exactly what I say to my therapist. I'm like, this sounds so nice, but like, please give me some tools here, because I need something when I'm panicking on a Monday morning, and not in your therapy room where I can break down and fall apart. So here's where we stop guessing and start acting like a real CEO. You want to scale, you want to hand things off, you want to make money in your sleep. Cool. But that only happens after you've built something worth scaling. So number 1, master your message and your offer first. Okay. We already talked about this. As a product-based business, here's what I want you to think about. Audit your top sellers and rework your messaging around urgency and outcomes. Stop just listing features of your product. Sell the transformation your product creates in your customer's life. Your scrubs, they don't just exfoliate, they help women feel confident enough to go makeup free. If you're a service-based business, I want you to practice selling every single day. And that, to some of you listening or watching this, might be like, but I don't wanna. I don't care. Practice selling every single day on your stories, in your content, in your DMs. Learn how to handle objections and read buying signals. Get uncomfortable until it literally feels like second nature. Number 2, build and refine a repeatable process. If something works, and I want you to listen to this, if something works, document it. Then do it again, and then again, and again, and again. Systems scale, vibes do not. If you're a product-based business, this can look like you creating plug-and-play launch calendars, repeatable email campaigns, and sales data tracking templates. You have to know what moves the needle and build consistency and a routine around it, okay? For service-based businesses, here's what that can look like. Create a client acquisition engine with consistent nurture content, an application system, follow-up reminders, and a call to close process. Make it predictable. In other words, your marketing needs to take them from, I have literally never heard of you a day in my life, to I'm obsessed with your brand and I recognize I have a problem or a desire I can't fix on my own, to let me give you my wallet right now. I need to be in your offer. I need to have your services. And then from there, you also need to have a sales conversation flow and a process you take them through that is consistent, that gets them to close. Number 3, analyze weekly, not just when you are panicking. I need to give you this reminder though, because so many people will be like, okay, how often should I be analyzing my data? Weekly to see what works. Monthly, I would say, to see like what is and is not working, because you also do have to trust the process sometimes. But if there's something that consistently every single week, as far as like a content topic or a format or any of those things that's bringing in really great results, you should know that every single week. During my team meeting every week, Me and my marketing strategist literally go through our sales conversations and our marketing data from the prior week, and we say what worked, what didn't, and we refine from there. We always know what we're going to be talking about on a consistent basis. Like if all else fails, I have 1,000,000,001 content ideas in my content calendar that could convert, but I want to be super responsive to what my audience needs to hear, and you do that by managing your data. So, this could look like which emails converted, what was your close rate this month, what calls to actions worked best, what lead source had the highest conversion. If you're not checking this weekly, you're still just guessing. Number 4, only invest when you know the ROI path. So I want you to ask yourself when you're considering making an investment, whether it's any of the things that we talked about today, do I know what works? Can I explain it clearly to someone else? Will this hire multiply results, or am I hoping they'll just like fix, quote unquote, what's not working? Because remember that delegation without direction is just debt. And we don't want more of that. We want to scale sustainably and profitably. And then last but not least is make CEO level decisions even if they're scary. So I want you to stop avoiding the discomfort of growth. Stop romanticizing quote unquote alignment as an excuse to delay hard decisions. You're not just an artist, you are a strategist. And here's the shift, and I literally tell this to everyone. CEOs remove emotion from execution. They don't need every sales push to feel magical. They're here to make it work. I will tell you, the days I've made the most sales are probably the days that I feel like showing up the least. And believe me, I don't know that there has been a day that I've been super inconsistent, or like a period of time I've been super inconsistent with my content in my business. But here's what I need you guys to know is that like you will never find someone more consistent than me. I wish I could tell you some of the days that I showed up, you guys. Like I have shown up through the most toxic situations, the days where I have literally scheduled cry breaks throughout like the entirety of my day. I have literally had panic attacks, taken some deep breaths, turned on the camera and been like, hey guys, today I want to talk to you about XYZ. Because guess what? That is what it takes to see results, okay? It's not always going to feel wonderful. It's not always going to feel aligned. Sometimes you do feel like a used car salesman, but guess what? We still show the fuck up. For product-based businesses, you still post the reel when your energy feels off. You still send the abandoned cart email even when sales feel slow. And you treat your business like a machine, not a mood. For service-based businesses, you show up on stories even when you're tired. You sell even when no one's reacting. You launch even when it's not perfect. You lead because real scalability is not sexy. And I will stand by that. I will die on that hill. It's strategic, it's sustainable, and it's yours when you treat your business like the $1 million brand it is capable of being. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was actually really fun for me to create because I really loved that like analogy of PEMDAS. And I'm actually hoping that that's really helpful for you guys to remember when you're thinking about investing in ads, PR, team, anything like that. And as always, if this really hit home for you guys and you have questions around like, hey, Savannah, I was thinking about investing in XYZ. Like, what are your thoughts? Here's where my business is at. I love nerding out on this stuff. And I have learned so much in the last 5 years of being a business owner and also helping so many businesses scale to million, multi-million dollar, almost 8-figure brands. So with that being said, if you have questions, please go into my DMs. If you send me the word like PEMDAS in my DMs, I will know you guys came from this episode and I'll know kind of like in general what you want to talk about or have questions around. And if you want to figure out if you need to prioritize organic marketing, organic sales right now, and you don't know how to do that, I'm always here to help you talk about solutions and support as well. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Also reach out to me on Instagram and tell me what your favorite part of this episode was, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.